So I'm watching this Tupac mustache mystery industry hoax on the Industry Hoax channel on YouTube, right? And I noticed they're talking about propaganda. They're talking about how the government uses television, to control our minds and stuff, right? I just noticed something in one of these clips, though. Watch this.
And the word of celebrity friends who have everything to gain by lying. You think it's crazy, but in a world where the media is bought and paid for, I suggest you think deeper. Since Tupac's, we've been bombarded with books, documentaries.
Did y'all notice that? Look, look.
Bought and paid for, I suggest you think deeper. Since Tupac's been bombarded.
Look what book is in the corner. As we're talking about propaganda and as we're going into season 2 of Our Story. And season 2 is about Roots, the saga of an American family. Thought that was very interesting. Yeah, propaganda. Now, I know I got my pro-black family who, my out-of-Africa family. We're all from Africa. But there's just some things I want you to think about when it deals with this movie Roots, and this movie that they pushed on us for a long time. I'm talking about generations. They pushed this movie as if this was our story. When in all actuality, this was not our story. This was supposed to be the story of Alex Haley's family, not your family. But anyway, back to this story of Roots. In season 2 of Our Story, we'll deal with propaganda. We'll deal with how the government uses television and the media and things to control our minds, such as giving us this movie Roots and making you all think that you all come from Africa. Anyway, back to this movie Roots, okay? Have you ever found it funny that the name of this book that Alex Haley was writing about is called Roots, the saga of an American family. American. Just let that sink in for a second. Not the saga of an African family, but the saga of an American family. Now I know that might seem a little strange, right? When this is supposed to be an African movie, right? An African slave movie about people being taken from Africa, right? Well, if you find that to be crazy, then it gets a little crazier when you find out that Kunta Kinte are Choctaw Indian words, which means whistling beaver. It gets even worse than that. It gets even stranger when you find out that beavers are indigenous to America, not Africa. Yeah. And it gets even stranger when Fiddler brings Kunta to the plantation and he tells those copper-colored people who are already there how they ain't never seen an African before.
This here is a Guinea man, an African. They catch him running through the woods in Guinea. Master Reynolds bought him right off the ship. You keep away from him now, because he a wild African. Oh, yeah, he a bobcat for sure.
But if this is our story about us being from Africa, I mean, wouldn't they have seen an African before? Being that they are Africans? Propaganda. Yeah. They pushed this on us as if this was our story for real. For generations. Interesting.
Which America did they come to with slaves? And you just don't hear the Indian story in these situations. So back to Roots, there's a couple scenes in Roots where they let you in on a couple things. There's a particular character in Roots by the name of Fiddler, and there's a portion in the movie where Fiddler is now bringing Kunta Kinte to the plantation for the first time in the movie, in the Keshes part. And what would hit me like 1,000 bricks was, why is he explaining to the crowd of people in the movie what an African is?
Let me show you something. This here is a Guinea man, an African. They catch him running through the woods in Guinea. Brought him right off the ship. You keep away from it now, because he a wild African. Oh yeah, he a bobcat for sure. Now some of you ain't never seen no African niggas before. Now some of you ain't never seen no African niggas before. Now some of you ain't never seen no African niggas before. So you just listen to old Fiddler now. This here Guinea man don't know English talking. So I'll be the one teaching him what it is he got to know.
This is movie Roots. So, but back then, you know, in our advantage, in our young age, we would have never saw that scene. I've seen the movie 1,000 damn times and never seen that scene. It's only because now I'm hyper aware of our indigenous ancestry in the Americas that I can even catch that part of the movie. So Fiddler he has Toby on the chain, right? And I tell people in these slave movies, whether it's Django, 12 Years a Slave, Glory, any of these movies, take notice how they only have certain Negroes in chain. The Negroes in chain were not the slaves. The Negroes in the chain were not the slaves. Those Negroes knew about their freedom. They kept running away. In fact, they kept running away so much, it was a term they called drapetomania. It was a mental condition of wanting to be free. This is so-called European psychology, pseudo-psychology. And this is coming on the heels of things like eugenics with Eugene Fisher and Johann Blumenbacher and so many others, white pseudoscientists. But now, that scene in Roots, the camera is panning by the so-called plantation Negroes, and you see the women with the head wraps on, their turbans. The turbans are turned this way, not the other way. There's actually a law implemented in the French quarters of New Orleans where they had to cover their long Indian hair up. And then the little so-called Negro children were known as pickaninnies. These are pickaninnies, by the way. Fiddler is explaining, this is what he said, verbatim. He said, this here is an African. I know a lot of y'all never seen no African before. I said, wait a minute, what the hell did he just say? Why would he tell these so-called Negroes they ain't never seen an African before? I thought they were African. Fiddler in Roots was the same as, what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson was in Django.
The whole book's a lie. And if you look at Roots and go get your federal documents, in federal court, a white boy by the name of Harry Colander that wrote The African in 1967, the court documents show that federal judge made all of them pay him $750,000, and in the records they chastised him, saying not only did you lift it out the book, you didn't even change one word. And then a white boy from England named John Rollison, that same judge made them pay him $150,000 because Kunta Kinte came out of his book.
Halito Tribe, make sure you stay tuned. Season 2 of the docuseries, Our Story, 1977, Roots. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms to keep up to date with the progress of the docuseries. Our Story, 1977, Roots, Season 2.